Hello, hello. Let's get this live going. I do want to change up my background here real quick. And put that one away. And I need to move this background down. Oop. I don't need to move. The background needs to move because you can't really see it on TikTok. How's everybody doing? If you're just coming in, please make sure to share out the live, tap on the screen, do all those good things while I try and figure out my background here. There. Sure, that'll work. All right. Hello, Earth citizen. If anybody else is, while they're coming in, just make sure to please share this out and let's get some, conversations going. I'm trying to ask people that are on both sides, or the both sides like talking point of politics, why they think it's both sides. I think that it's a good discussion to have because I hear the point a lot that, oh, it's both sides, but I don't hear why it's both sides. So that's my biggest contention here. I do want to do something real quick and see if I can do a redirect from RTPs. Um, this studio. How's everybody doing? Hey, Rob. Yeah, and if you do have anything to say about it, please join up as a guest. You can also, if you're watching on YouTube, you can go to this little URL, tinyurl.com/deconjunk, and we can get you up here and we can talk about it. So, what I'm trying to find out right now is why is the problem on both sides, and why do you think that? Like, I know a lot of people say it's both sides, but they never really like tell me why they think it's both sides. I personally am not a fan of either side, really. So I would like to know like why you would say any like you being a both sideser, say that it's both sides. Voting is strangers telling other strangers how to live their lives. Huh? Let's see. Where I want to go into here. Customize, redirect. Um, there we go. Save, yes. Let's get that redirect going. I am gonna say on RTPs because he's got like hundreds of people, and I do want to bring over some of the apps because they will have a little bit of an easier time to get up and talk to me. Centralist isn't a side. Yeah, I think I agree with you there on Resist over on YouTube. Huh? How do you not get that? Voting is strangers telling other strangers how to live their lives. I think voting is actually somebody like voting on what their values should be, unless they don't know what like they're voting for, and they're just like voting because there's a D or an R, or like because they're a woman or a man. So, like, telling other people how to live their lives is more so like the politicians, maybe like the policies that people are asking to put forth. I would say it would be before the voting. Your value aren't someone else's. Yeah, I realize that. That's why you vote for what you value. I mean, if there are times where you think that somebody else's values uh like procedures, then yeah, vote for that. But I don't think that voting is telling other people how to live their lives. I think voting is just your way of practicing your freedom, your democratic right to share, ideas. But yeah, if you really want to talk about it, there's like a little guest feature here, and I'm more than willing to let you up and we can talk about it. Um, I'm not sure what side of the aisle you fall on, but that's not really the point, I guess. The point I'm trying to like fall with or like talk to people about is, the both sides are like, why do you call it both sides? Let me see. I also need to pull up tiny. Yep, there we go. All right. Yeah. And people on YouTube, if you do want to come up, tinyurl.com/deconjunk. And I can get you up. I think I might have fixed the ability to have guests on TikTok talk to the guests from YouTube, but we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, I will engage with chat. Hi, RTP Talks viewers. I did redirect you over here, but I think that you guys would be interested in this because what I'm trying to do is get some callers to call in and tell me what it is about the problem being on both sides when it comes to politics. And I hear that a lot. I hear like, oh, both sides are the problem. Both sides are the problem. But why? Why are both sides the problem? So we do have a guest here. Let's see. There's no number. There's a URL that you would just type into your browser. It's tinyurl.com/deconjunk. And I should be able to try and get you on. Now, if I do have a TikTok guest, it might not work, but I
Can
do
you hear
have
me?
somebody up. Hi, yep, I do hear you. How are you doing?
Perfect. Hey, what's up?
Can I get your age just real quick, just for TikTok purposes?
40.
They're all right, 40. So what's your take?
So yeah, like the same thing I said before is voting is just strangers telling other strangers how to live.
So yeah, let's get into that. Like, can you kind of expand on what you mean by that?
Okay, so so we're voting on in the United States here, we vote for other people, right?
Right.
Yeah, so those other people are going to make laws based on your vote, right?
Okay.
Okay. So, we vote for people to tell other strangers how to live. So it doesn't matter. Like you could
Can you
anything,
give
pick
like an
any topic.
example of like a law or like a ballot initiative that might like expand on that?
Here we go. Let's talk about industrial hemp.
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Is any part of industrial hemp should be illegal?
Yeah, I think industrial hemp should be legal, like completely.
Yeah. Okay. Why is it? Why is it illegal?
Why is it illegal?
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting thing. So in my state, we actually like had a ballot measure where a large majority of my state actually voted to legalize like medical like use of like cannabinoids. And that upset the AG and a few of the like leading like elected representatives that are actually going against the will of the people. So their votes actually didn't matter
Didn't
because
matter.
now they're like slow walking it and like they're like basically, going against their vote. Uh
And I'm not even talking about even like regulating it. I'm
right.
saying that you can't even grow it in your front yard.
Right. Well, I thought they changed that. I thought that there's a little bit of like that
No,
they like
you have
lessened
to.
it
It
up to
depends
where
on,
it's like a percentage of the weight, and that's why we have like you can
but it's
go
regulated,
places
right?
and yeah, it is
That's
regulated,
regulated.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm talking about that. There's no regulation. You can grow this in your front yard,
Mhm.
and we're talking about industrial hemp here. The the majority of our problems, like if we say oil or like even like products, industrial hemp creates pretty much anything.
Right.
Like you can name a product and it creates anything.
Right, right. You
So
you really
you
can.
can't,
Paper,
yeah,
rope. You can
yeah,
do a
you
lot.
can't,
You can build houses with hemp.
yeah, hempcrete.
Right.
Like, and this could be grown in your front yard easily. Okay. So when you go that people can vote and tell me that I can't grow that in my front yard, you are the problem.
Right.
The voter is the problem.
See, and I think that's interesting. I think that that we might have a little bit of a nuance in this one because I think that if you took like a popular vote of like all of America on that topic, you would probably find out that most people would support it.
And,
Uh
and, and that's cool. But again, there is somebody who doesn't support it and they
yeah.
can vote. So that's the problem is that you have strangers deciding how I live my life on my own land.
Are you libertarian?
it's not even, I wouldn't even label myself anything,
Okay.
because it should, like, if if I were to label it, it'd be freedom. Like, you don't get to go around telling other people what to do.
Right. I mean, I would say the same for like how people are trying to tell trans people, whether or not they can play in sports or
Yeah.
use
Well,
the bathroom.
okay, but if you go, and that's this is a government thing. So if I were to go to a sports league, okay, they have their own league.
Right.
They can make their own rules up for their own league.
Agreed. Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah.
league can
So
do it at the league
the
level.
league can do
The
whatever they
government,
want.
yeah, the government shouldn't have any
The
kind of
government
say on
has
that.
no, yeah, you can't say anything. Again, that's straight. And if you're voting, if you don't want to be part of that league, you don't have to be part of that league.
Yeah, I completely agree with that too. Like another topic too is like adult websites, right? In
Yeah.
my state, like say I would want to look at an adult website. I can't because the government
Correct.
has voted. I don't even know if actually the people voted, but they passed
No one voted on it.
legislation
Yeah. Well,
to
here's the thing. You
block it.
voted for, yeah, you voted for somebody who
Right.
did. There, that's it's strangers telling other strangers how to live their lives,
Okay.
and this can be
All
trickled
right.
down to
I'm
anyone.
starting to see what you're. I'm picking up what you're putting down there.
Yeah.
I was like taking like just like the simple act of voting as like telling other in a way, yes. But I mean, there's like a majority minority thing, and I think that you know that's a very interesting thing to go like and study because many times has like the will of the people been like kind of pushed aside. Like I said earlier with the hemp situation in my state of Nebraska, you can look it up. Like Nebraska, like over 70% of the voters voted for medical cannabis, and it passed. But now they did things like bureaucratically, like they're now setting up like a cannabis commission, and they are the ones that are staffing it, like at the governor's level.
Yeah,
And
and then they'll
yeah,
tax. They want to tax it, and, all, and
and hey, that's
it's just
fine.
about siphoning money from you.
Right. Actually, I'm okay with taxing it. Like, hey, if that brings our property taxes down because somebody wants to buy like a crap ton of, uh,
But that's the thing
Skittles.
that I don't want my property taxes to go to the 12-year government indoctrination camps.
Okay.
So like and you can keep going on from there. Like that's the thing, is that my moral standards are different from your moral standards.
Right. I understand
So
that.
that we all have different moral, and
I agree
depending
completely.
on where you are, like there's a certain place that doesn't care about offing people. They'll just go do it. Again, you'll vote for going to off people in another country.
Well, yeah, I would say that's more done at a congressional level, but yeah, you do vote for those
You voted for
congressmen's.
the person who
Right,
did
right,
that.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's, I'm always going to revert back to that
right.
statement. You
Okay.
voted for someone else to go do that.
I see what you're saying. Like it's kind of like a line of cause and effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
That if we didn't, it's the same thing that we have the corporation problem. If we didn't have a government, there would be no corporation. Because the corporation exists because of the government. If there was no government, you couldn't make a corporation because it wouldn't even matter.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can sort of see what you're saying here. I think that it would be more like I think that a lot of our vote and what our Congress people like. I think like with John Fetterman, for example, he kind of ran on a very like liberal ish type of platform where the expectation was is that he was going to kind of vote in line with those types of policies. We haven't seen that. He's kind of been more of a like a neolib or even like a centrist. And I think that it could be, it could be because he had a stroke, but it also could be because corporations and private, interest is lining the pockets of these Congress people and
Yeah,
and
because the
and getting them
corporation is the government.
right.
Corporation is government. It doesn't exist without the government.
Yeah, and
So
like I'm
everything is
agreeing with
government.
you on that. Like, get rid of Citizens United, get the money out of there. I'd almost say like people shouldn't even get some sort of like compensation for their role in government. I think that if you're running for a government office, that it shouldn't be for the money. it should be because you want to, enact change or, become a leader in your like and be the voice of your constituents, basically.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
again, you're being the voice for constituents, but there's also someone who just doesn't agree with that. And they can live by their own moral standards. And the key factor is this is the libertarian philosophy is that as long as you're not hurting anybody, you can kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But again, that hurting, what's the line of hurting? Like we don't know, like financially hurting somebody, physically, you don't want to physically hurt
Hmm.
somebody. Like those are the lines here that we have to have a thought about explaining to this to people.
Yeah, I think that there's a good like middle ground between like democracy and like having representatives and like libertarian thought, or like having centralized things like garbage pickup or police, things like that, like to keep crime down. I
Yeah,
think
and
that
this
you should be able to do things like if you want to smoke something inside your house at your own pace and you're not hurting anybody, then why should that be anybody else's problem?
yeah.
uh but I also think that like we can't just like tell people, okay, figure out what you want to do with your garbage, right? Like, because then you're gonna have people that are just like, well, I'll just burn my garbage up out front of my house, and then other people
Well,
will
yeah.
say,
If you had the hemp ability, you can do that because all that stuff is it's you you have the garbage problem because
hmm,
of the government. You
yeah,
you have all these problems because it's government created for a reason.
yeah, I could see that. All right, well, actually, Control Shift N, I like you. I like, and I don't think that we really have too much that we're gonna like kind of butt heads against. I just didn't understand what you meant at first, and I think you
Yeah, but
you explained
that's why.
yourself well.
Why do you think both sides of the problem? It's government. They are government. That
Okay.
they're always going to have a problem with that.
All right. I like to hear that kind of different take on this. Like usually what I was kind of asking for was, like usually one person will take a side, either more left or more right, and then they'll say like,
Yeah,
well, these guys all do all of that, and then it's like, okay, but what about like if you're saying both sides, you got to be able to criticize literally both sides.
right. And that's what I
Yeah.
did.
You're right, right, right. Yeah. All right. I got somebody else on the like list here, so I do appreciate you. Make sure to stick around, come back if you'd like. And
Got
yeah,
it.
thank you.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah, have a good one. All right, let's see. Real Anthony Kane coming up. Yeah. Oh, maybe not. Did he leave? Ah, well, the box is open. If anybody's interested, what I'm trying to. Oh, hold on. We got somebody here on the YouTube side. Add to scene. All right, do this. Hold on. I got to do a few things. Yes, I know the video source won't start. And I want this and that.
I can hear
And
you.
can you hear me? All right, and I can hear you. All right.
Well,
What
I'm.
Texas? I'm
Who's
gonna
all
call you
on here? This
Tex.
is Texas Air Gunner.
It's just me and you, buddy. So Tex, what's your thoughts? And can I get your? Well, now you look over 18.
Hold on, let me. I'm getting back feed for how to turn you down on the live stream.
Oh
What's
yeah,
going
you
on?
might have to mute the live stream
I
because
was
yeah.
just listening to what was going on.
Hmm. So, what are your take on my little background here about both sides? Do you think both sides are the problem? Well, he left. Uh-oh. Let me see if I can find him again. Give him a second. Otherwise, see here. Anybody on TikTok or on YouTube? If you want to call in from YouTube, then you just go to tinyurl.com/deconjunk, because this is the Deconjunction YouTube channel that you are watching this on. It is a collective of streamers that I own and run a Discord for. But I want to talk about politics because I think politics has kind of been at the forefront lately. Oh, here we go. I think we got him again. Are you there?
Yeah, I clicked off the screen and it showed up.
Right, you're good. You're good. Am I
Yeah,
still
okay.
echoing on you?
No, it's good now. It was the damn YouTube going at the same time I'm talking to you on this thing.
Yeah, I feel
I've
you.
never done this before, so
Oh yeah, it trust me, it's a nightmare on the back end.
yeah.
So anyways, what I was trying to ask is Do you agree, like both sides are the problem? Have you heard that like talking point where people say, you know, two wings of the same bird, two sides of the same coin, and what's your take on all of it?
I mean, I would say both sides of the problem when it comes to like different things.
Okay.
Like the left is being real problematic about right now with all their stupid protests and shit, bothering feds, like trying to act like everything's so unconstitutional. And then you still have the right, which I'm a Trump supporter. I voted for him,
Okay.
what, 3 times now? So, uh,
I feel like that's one
so I
time too
mean,
many, but
I,
go
s-
on.
I feel like he's the better of the option 100%, like compared to Kamala and Tampon Tim. But
Can we, all right,
it's
can we
always
actually
messed up when it
pause
comes to
though?
government.
Can we pause on the tampon Tim thing? Like the legislation that everybody calls tampon Tim for, it doesn't actually say anywhere that tampons need to be in like boys' bathrooms.
Oh well, Tim Waltz, whatever,
So it's kind of, I mean, it's just like a really
same goofy
goofy.
guy.
I mean, I get it. It's like a funny name, but like it's so like it's not like anywhere near the truth. Like if you actually read the legislation, it just says like anybody that's going to have a period, let's allow them to get tampons. you know, it doesn't actually say like you need to put these things in boys' bathrooms, but sure, yeah, call them tampon Tim. Anyways, so
Okay, yeah, I
so
just think
on the
yeah.
on the right, then what's your criticism? So you got a criticism on the left there. You're saying that the protesting against ICE and disrupting possible ICE
I mean,
stuff.
just slow. Shit's going slow, but it's like you don't know what he's having to deal with. He's always getting sued. People are always messing with him, and he's having to jump through hoops to do everything. All these courts want to freaking block everything he does. It wouldn't matter if he cured cancer; they'd try to block it. Like it's just like ridiculous, and it's like
I don't
I don't
know. If you
understand
try
it.
to
And
kill
I
or
need to
cure
know.
cancer, I don't think the courts would try to block it.
I
Usually, courts
mean,
are pretty like most of the courts that have blocked him
the left
are no
will do
are
it.
they are actually like his appointees, like Trump's appointees, and they're actually right
Well,
leaning.
a lot of the shit gets blocked. Like that Gilmore Garcia dude, that whatever. Like they get involved with that, saying they can't deport a freaking illegal, just stupid crap. It's just like, come on. Why does anybody even care about these illegals? Go home, do it the right way, like Elon Musk and everyone else did. Like, come on, man. You don't need to jump the fence. This ain't football time.
Okay,
It's just like,
is it
I don't care
possible?
about immigration.
Is it possible that that there's actually not too much of a problem with immigration? Like, have you like directly been affected by like an undocumented like migrant or illegal alien? Like, have you
Personally,
directly?
me, I live
Yeah,
in
you.
BFE. There ain't none out here in the country. We would run them the fuck off.
Why would
It
you
wouldn't
like?
happen
Why would
out
you
here.
run them off? I don't understand. Like, don't you
Illegals,
like tacos?
illegal. There's plenty of illegal Mexicans that can make tacos. I don't want illegals. I don't care about immigrants. I don't care about race or any of that shit. I just want
Okay,
legal ones so we know who the hell we are. And they ain't
so
freaking murderers and drug dealers. Which I mean,
I'm
you
sure.
know what I mean? I don't really care
Yeah,
about drugs either. But
but we don't want to generalize like a whole group of people and say that they're all murderers and drug
illegals.
dealers, right?
They're
Like,
all criminals because they came over illegal if they're an illegal. Other than that, I don't care about
I
immigrants.
mean,
Like, I
who
love Elon Musk and he's an
I would
immigrant.
say that the type of uh like misdemeanor that is like given, it's a civil like crime, right?
No, it ain't. It's only civil if you get a green card and you overstay your visa. If you
Yeah, that's
jump the
like
border
90%.
illegally, it's illegal. It's a felony.
Yeah, that
It's
is
a federal.
people that
That
are
is
crossing
exactly
is
whenever
like a
they would come
small
over the
percentage.
border and whenever they'd come over the border and go up to a border patrol agent and tell them a name and they would say, okay, come back. That's technically illegal. Biden just didn't enforce the law. That is 100% illegal. You got to go through a port of entry and fill out a bunch of paperwork, get all this crap. They do all these background fingerprints, all this crap, do it the legal way. They weren't doing that. Literally coming over the crack in the fence and going to a border patrol agent, telling them a name,
You
could
know
be any
that
damn name, and they
like
just let them come on.
most of
20 million people in like 4 years. It's crazy.
okay.
And then they give them free health care. And like, I got to work my ass off and I can't afford food. And they get free EBT cards,
The like
healthcare, cell
amount of
phones.
just like wild like misinformation that you're just like spitting is just insane to me.
What do you mean?
They're not
Have you
getting free health
Have you
care.
not watched the YouTube videos where they freaking, yeah, when you go to a hospital, hospitals don't turn people away.
Yeah,
If you go to a hospital
they also
right now
don't
and you
pay
ain't got
for you.
insurance, they'll fix you.
They don't.
No, they
My
will fix
dad,
you
who
and
is
they will bill you.
insured, was actually they stopped before they were going to give him the respirator after his heart attack. Just like 2 weeks ago, they stopped and made sure that he paid the $89 that was left over on his bill before they were going to put the respirator on him. So yeah, they make you pay. It doesn't matter if you're insured or not.
No,
I'm
you
not
don't
saying
have to
that
be
they
insured.
won't.
I went to a hospital
They might
when I
give
was
you.
18
They
years
might
old.
help you, but you're gonna get hit up with a bill.
Yeah, but like, who do they send the bill to when they're illegals? Exactly. They fix them, they get a bill, they send it to nowhere because they got fake social security numbers and all that crap. I know for a fact because I had my appendix taken out when I was a kid and I didn't pay the bill. They just sent me a bill. I never paid it. So I know that you get hospital. It was like $30,000. I couldn't
Trust me.
afford it. What was I supposed to do? So
Somebody
like I said,
either somebody paid it, or you have
exactly.
you're in arrears.
Taxpayers. I did it what millions of people are doing, and then like I said, if the hospital's taking care of these illegals, there's no room for real people, Americans or whatever you would say. So it ain't fair. And you can watch videos
I'm sorry,
where like
are
Cam Higbee
are
and they'll
illegal
go
are undocumented
talk to these
immigrants
people
like flooding the ERs in hospitals?
in the big Democrat areas that are made for like, what do they call them? Sanctuary cities. Yes, they're everywhere, dude. They're living on the streets and it's crazy. You never seen the videos where they go talk to the people and
This
they can't
goes like
speak English at
completely,
all, and they're like,
like
"Hey,
JD
how do you afford
Vance.
this?" And they're like, "We get free shit. Like we don't have to pay for our rent. They pay it
Okay,
for us." Like
hey,
you watch the
we got to
interviews
do
where they're
this
talking.
one thing at a time. I'm going to mute you. JD Vance just said recently that housing prices in private housing was being raised, and housing prices are going up, and the supply of houses are going down because of illegal immigrants. But you're telling me that they're living on the streets.
There's
so which one
many
is
of
it?
them. They're living everywhere. They're in hotels. They got
Where
complete hotels
can you
in New York
point
bought out and paid
to where
for
any of this
illegals.
is actually happening, or are
in
you
New
just
York
like
City,
repeating what's
there's
being told to you?
hotels. Watch a YouTube video where they go around and they talk to these immigrants and they tell them, we don't have to pay for anything. They pay for it. Free room and board. We get a free freaking EBT debit card to pay for food, cell phones, all that crap. They'll just watch the videos and they're going and interviewing the people that are illegal.
It's not happening like that. What are you talking about, dude?
I just told you it's all over YouTube.
There are okay.
Does it.
Okay, hold on. Pause, breathe for a second.
Nate Friedman.
Text. Pause and breathe for a second. So there are times, like in Ohio, where they did have legal immigrants come and fill like job positions because they were far unemployed that they needed people to fill these positions. So they did move people in. There was a stipend that was given to them to where, they were saying like, hey, if you move over here to Ohio, we will give you a little bit of money for the move. We will give you a little bit of money to get your feet off the ground. And then once you start making money working, then you're going to be able to, provide for yourself. That is like good governance, right?
Yeah, like, that is, but this is not what I'm talking about.
You're cherry picking the fact that they were paid, and now you're applying it to this completely other group of people that are undocumented.
This is the undocumented people. I'm telling you, go on.
How do undocumented people get checks?
They don't. They get a little debit card.
How do they get the debit card if they're undocumented?
I don't know. They fill it out. They fill out this crap and they get it because of New York City and all these. Oh my God, dude! Go on Nate Friedman. He goes around and he interviews all these illegals, and they're telling them straight up. I came from Honduras. I came from Guatemala. I just got here last year, 2 years ago. How are you paying for shit?
So they're documented.
You don't have a job?
If they got a card, calm down. If they got a card,
oh my God.
If they got a card, They're documented, right? So like you can't
They
just
got a
apply
freaking
for.
debit card, not a green card, a
So
debit
is there
card,
a
an
name?
EBT card.
Is there a name that is connected to these EBT cards? I had to get EBT at one
You
point.
don't need a name for an EBT card. You need a PIN
You
number.
need a name and a social security
You
number.
need no PIN number. Oh my God.
No,
Just watch
you
the
have a PIN
videos.
number
He goes
after you're
around, he does
granted
hundreds
one.
of them. Do you even believe in paid protest?
Paid
These people are getting
protest?
paid to go protest? You don't believe in that either? Just watch the videos. He goes around and proves it. He shows the same people at all the different protests. Don't matter if it's pro-Palestine, hates Palestine, all this crap, anti-ICE. It's the same people and leaders and the same companies getting the same money, and basically comes from George Soros. Why do you think all the signs are perfectly made and all perfect?
Do you think the moon landing was fake? Do you think like the Earth is flat? Are you just like willing to just like take other people's like, you know, just random crazy conspiracies and just run with it? Because it sounds like you are.
Like, so you don't believe in the scamming in
think critically for
Minnesota
a second.
with the daycares, right? The Leering Center, that's fake. Was that AI generated? Like, come on, dude. That guy that got shot, was he not wrestling with the police?
No, he wasn't.
He wasn't.
He wasn't.
Damn, dude, it's on fucking video.
Yeah, oh, it's on video. He's got his back turned to him.
It's on video of him grabbing a cop on the shoulders and trying to pull him off a woman.
Oh no! Oh gosh, not him grazing a cop's shoulder when on January 6th, like literally, like tons of police were getting beat.
Nobody got beat the fuck up on January 6th. Name me one cop that actually.
Bro, you were just like completely disconnected from reality. Now talk about video. Like here, I have a literal picture. Hold on, give me a second here, because this is one of my talking points here. Sorry, I did have to mute you because you're a little loud. But if you look on my screen, I don't know if you can right now.
I can't.
But if you were to go, it's a picture of people literally beating a Capitol police officer with his own baton.
Okay, so can you hear me?
And those people are named. Those people were also armed. Yes, I can hear you, with firearms. Much more people than Mr. Preddy.
Of a gun there. Show me one photo of a gun there, and then tell me that of 100,000 people, you have 2 people beating up a cop, and that's the whole insurrection. That's really it, dude. If it was a real
there's like more than 2 people in just like this one picture.
AR-15s running their fucking shit up. That's a real insurrection.
Dude, you are.
Texans like
I don't
know
what.
In with AKs fucking shit up.
I don't know what like reality you're living in, but like this is wild.
There was no guns there. There wasn't one person stopped with a gun.
This is so wild. So your criticism for the both sides part was that the right isn't doing enough. They're not apparently like cracking down enough on U.S. citizens.
What are they doing wrong? Name me one thing.
What, the January 6th rioters?
That's bullshit, dude. That's fucking 6 years ago anyways. Who gives a shit about 6 years ago?
Well, Trump, actually, Trump gives a shit because he just...
Babbitt was the only person that got killed, and she was an unarmed woman.
Actually, 5 officers also died as direct results of that.
No, they didn't. No, they didn't. That's bullshit. Google it right now. Just fucking Google it. That's a left-wing owned company. Google it. It'll tell you nobody died.
Dude.
January 6th, except Ashley
You
Babbitt.
are just like the perfect person for a cult.
You're gonna say a cop that dies the next day for having a stroke, that's January 6th's fault? How about the guy was not fit for duty?
The cop?
You don't die.
Because they had heart attacks. Did you see? They were getting like sprayed in the face with like bear mace. They were.
That doesn't kill anybody. Show me one person that's died from bear mace. What, are they huffing the can? Breathing it? Like, what do you mean?
Like they were screaming for help. I don't understand like what what you're not understanding. Like, did you not see it when it was happening? I watched it live. I watched the whole thing go down.
Live too. I almost wanted to go. I didn't want to go raid the damn Capitol like a bunch of fucking weirdos.
So you didn't see the people like beating people over the head with like flagpoles?
Nobody beat nobody. I never seen that shit. No, I never seen that. I've seen all the fucking thousands of videos and nobody beat nobody. I've seen some moss pitting they were like moss pitting, like pushing, trying to like at the cops by pushing them back and forth, but there was nobody getting beat down. Not at all. They did break some windows and do some dumb shit, and they all went to prison for it. They did
I
plenty of
gotta let you
years,
go, dude.
but come on, man.
I just gotta let you go off
You're
of just
too
like
left wing. You need to watch
misinformation.
some more videos. Get off the left wing side.
Dude, I watch the videos. Trust me. I'm not just like trying to see this from one point of view, but I just gotta let you go, dude, because you're just completely disconnected from reality. Like that is just wild. I am gonna take a few people here on TikTok if they're still around. Jeez. Yeah, I'm left wing. Like I would say that I lean left. Like there's nothing wrong with that. I think that people can lean a certain way, but I think that you can also like criticize people that are claiming to be on the left or people that are running for office that are, you know, saying they're going to do one thing and then do either nothing or something completely different. All right. So, Rav, I know who you are. Real Anthony Kane. Can I get your age real quick?
Yeah, 26.
All right. And what brings you up?
Well, I was scrolling through the lives and I thought, man, I got to get on this conversation. There are a lot of unreasonable people, you know, and I've dealt with them myself. So, give you a little bit of background about me. I appreciate what you're doing with talking to people. Appreciate you keeping your cool. I'm a veteran. I served in the U.S. Army,
No,
and I'm also a
appreciate
preacher.
that. Oh, okay.
And thank you. And so I have a podcast called the Christian Constitutionalist Podcast.
All right.
And I'll be honest, growing up,
That's like two separate things. They're kind of like clashing with each other, if you ask me. But go on.
well, a lot of people said that at first. My whole motto, like that I've chosen to have for my life, is just be biblical, be constitutional. The
So
thing
is it
about me that
constitutional
makes
to own a slave? I guess, yeah, technically. They do have
so
slavery
I
into the
actually do
13th
talk
Amendment.
about that. When you look at one of my episodes, I talk about the founding fathers' contradiction: all men are created equal, and I expose that in my podcast. And so I like to identify as a truth seeker. And so growing up, I was around, a family that was, diehard Republican. I was diehard Republican. But as I started looking at the Constitution and as I started doing some thinking for myself, I started realizing that the sides that we have, it's all about divide and conquer. And so when I asked people about the Constitution, and unfortunately, even those that I served with, they were willing to do things that were unconstitutional just because they were given that order to do so. Prime example, there were some guys that I served alongside with that said if they were ordered to confiscate Americans' weapons, they would. Now, I do cuss at times, but back then I let it go this time, and I basically cussed that guy out and told him to F off because that's not constitutional.
Right.
What
yeah.
I try to
You can't confiscate a weapon unless you have like they're
Well,
committing a
it's
crime or something. That's
correct.
that where
Well,
that weapon is evidence or needs. There's the what is it? The Sixth Amendment. It's about the proper seizure of property. Is it
correct.
fourth? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the fourth. I want to say it's the fourth.
Yeah.
But
Search and
you're
seizure.
absolutely right. And the thing is, when you look at like Hurricane Katrina, what happened there? The military went through and confiscated a bunch of Americans' weapons, which was unconstitutional. When you look at a military base like I was stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington. There's all these signs that say, do not obey a unlawful order or an unconstitutional order. But yet they turn around and they exactly do that. And so that's one thing I try to expose. I try to show people pursue truth. Stop pursuing an ideology based off the group that you're associated with. Like I've been silenced from a congregation for exposing spiritual warfare and exposing traditionalism. So my most recent episode that I just put out was called "The Facade of Christianity," and how okay, do you see where I'm going here? So I've learned to think for myself. I was taught that growing up, but there was also some bias. And so when it comes to why do you believe what you believe, a lot of people will tell me, well, this is what I was raised with, or that's what my preacher said, or that's what my family's always
Indoctrination.
said.
Yeah.
Exactly. With me, I have actually done the opposite. And I've lost a lot of friends And I've also had a lot of family members go against me because of it. And I was even silenced from a congregation for it. So after I got out of the military, I started exposing human trafficking. That's one of the biggest things that I study.
Okay, good for you.
And so I've been censored on social media more times than I can count. This is my third time bringing up my podcast and hopefully my last. And so I'm not censored as of late as much, but I'm still battling a lot of censorship. And when it comes to human trafficking, that's one of the biggest. And so I made some posts the other day about human trafficking and the root of the problem. And I had some guy talk about, now that the Republicans are in, there's no, human trafficking. I said, you're an idiot because both are involved. But we've been
I would say that
programmed-
both sides are definitely not doing
Absolute-
enough when it comes to that.
and much of them are involved.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that.
Yeah. And so the thing is I'm trying to get people to understand the big problems instead of being divided over political party or over, stupid stuff. There are more people that are more dedicated to a football team than truth, or to a basketball team than truth. When you actually start talking to people, like my wife and I, we don't do TV. We've never had TV. I don't even watch the news.
Mhm.
And it's because I understand, for example, that like CNN and Fox News are owned by the same corporation. Believe
Yeah,
it or
I mean,
not.
more or less, yeah.
Yeah, the housing crisis, BlackRock, because they're buying all of these neighborhoods or pieces of property, building these houses, and many of them, like where I live in South Texas, if you go over to like Poteet or Pleasanton, one of those two places, there's neighborhoods that are empty.
Right.
They're pushing the rent.
Yeah, I used to work in like property management here where I'm at, and we would have to look up like the county assessors and like how the titles and deeds and everything were filled out, and it's wild. Like I actually ask anybody that's watching right now, like when you get some free time, go to your like local like county assessor or local assessors, be it a parish or county or whatever municipality that you're in, and just find some different plats and see who owns them. Like literally the house next door to me is owned by like 1-800 Cash LLC, and they Airbnb the house, and we have like a new neighbor every week, and it's the most annoying thing because my dog is not very dog friendly with neighborly dogs that they don't know. And yeah, when you have a new dog like every other week, it's very annoying. So and yes, there's like whole neighborhoods that will sit empty because there's written in loopholes about like there's tax loopholes. There's a lot of things that are put into place that allows them to sit on these empty investment properties that they may either wait to sell at a profit of a certain type, or they might do like short-term rental like Airbnb. So yeah, I completely, you're not really saying much that I'm like disagreeing with here.
And it's usually not that way. When people actually give me the chance to speak to them, they see that, hey, I just try to go based off of truth. And here's the deal. I will acknowledge certain things in the past. I will acknowledge the Constitution, and I will also acknowledge the lies, the manipulation, and the deceit that goes on in Christianity.
Okay.
That's what I've gone to do. And it's not just, oh, this is how I feel. Most people give me that answer. Well, this is how I feel. I didn't ask how you feel. The truth doesn't care how you feel. What does it say?
Right.
And so I'm trying to get like people in my community to wake up to Agenda 2030. These data centers that are being built around. I don't know how much study you've done on Agenda 2030. I've done an episode about it, constantly posting about it. Listen to the World Economic Forum.
Yeah. So like, and this might be where we don't agree completely. I'm not too sure on, like, I don't think that they should have, I mean, I think that planning ahead is good, but like the like Agenda 47, the like Project 2025, the Agenda Project 30, I think the Project 31, a lot of people like kind of ran with some of the ideas in there, like the idea of like a 15-minute city. And they think that that means like either we have to, like like spend a bunch of money or all these things, but really it's just like a goal of just trying to make it so you could get across the city within like a matter of time that's not like hours where you're stuck in traffic or a wreck doesn't just like stop everything from happening in a city, because that certainly happens in my city. Like if a wreck happens on a main thoroughfare, like
Right.
you're gonna have to wait a few hours. But
Yeah.
now I could see like a Christian being a little bit afraid of like kind of a globalist idea of like the World Economic Forum. I also think that the World Economic Forum does not always have the people's best interest at heart. I think that they may be a little swayed by their, respective corporations or, lobbyists. So those are things that we should just be aware of when we do vote. And when we do try to advocate or speak up, because we don't want to run with it too much, though. Like we do want to make sure that our interests are protected, but I think that like when we get too far into like certain like conspiracies, if you will, like for lack of a better term, I'm not saying that you're a conspiracy theorist.
No, brother. I'm not a snowflake. I'm not.
Yeah,
thin-skinned,
I'm just saying
we're
like
good.
you don't want to run too far, ahead with it and be like, oh well, this is gonna lead to this, and next thing you know, like everybody's gonna be eating each other or something, like who knows. But
Can I ask
I
you a
do
question?
think that thinking critically is very, very important.
Yeah, well, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What do you think will? Let me ask this. What do you know about Agenda 2030 and what they have put out?
From what I like I said, like I know that 15-minute cities were one of the things. Mostly what I know about Agenda 2030 is like people that have had gripes with it, like little things that they picked out, and then I like have like read a little bit about it. I will admit I've not read too far into Agenda 2030, probably because right now like the Trump administration is just like destroying any kind of like, like working with any other country that we considered allies. So like the World Economic Forum is kind of, like in a way we're getting pulled out of that. So I mean, people consider that good in many aspects, other people don't.
The reason why I ask is because when I study my enemy, this has like been like years of studying, and I encourage you to look into it a little bit more when you get the chance, if you want. But when it comes to like indoctrination, when it comes to control,
Mm-hmm.
they're wanting everything digitized. And what that is going to do is that is going to make us practically like a copy and paste of China. Social credit score, um, just like in the pandemic is what I call it. Just like in the pandemic, they wanted me to get vaccinated in the military, and that's actually the reason why I was discharged, because I refused the vaccinations.
Mm.
And I've preached about this. I've got the evidence for it. It's one of the reasons why I was one of the many reasons why they silenced me at that congregation, is because I took the Greek word pharmakeia in
Mm-hmm.
scripture, and it means magic, drugs, or sorcery. A lot of translations will read sorcery.
See, this
And
is
in the
where
Greek,
again, this is where I would say that things like the World Health Organization, something that we did also just kind of pull out of,
Who?
uh yeah, who actually, there's a lot of really serious like science that goes behind this. Like I work at a research hospital, and when you like talk about vaccines, a lot of people think that like vaccines are some like wonder, like solution. That is not the case. For the like most part, vaccines, what they do is they help build your immunity, or increase like herd immunity, and herd immunity is a very nice thing. If the disease is not like fatal, that's gonna like make your oxygen intake, like drop significantly to where you need to be on like a machine. But when it comes
why don't
to
you
like
reach
what's that?
Why should we care for the most vulnerable of society?
Right. So yeah,
What
I'm
benefit
also a
is there in
cancer
that?
survivor, and my mom just got done with chemo. So I understand like masking is a very important thing. I think the pendulum has now swung too far in the other direction because people got too pissed about masking that now not even nurses or doctors in the chemo wards at hospitals are masking. That is disgusting to me because these people have completely compromised immune systems. The smallest thing, like just a regular cold, can like give them sepsis. It can give them further like worsening like symptoms like pneumonia. It can put them in like shock. It's just wild that people that complain about masks because of their personal freedoms complain so much that now like it's faux pas to wear a mask even in a chemo ward where people should definitely be washing their hands. They should be wearing masks. They should be trying to make it so infection does not spread, especially to the compromised like people. When it comes to vaccines, it's the data's out there. Like there's no way that anybody's trying to lie. There's no like large global scale like organizing that was going on. You can see like there's been millions and millions and millions, if not billions, of people that have been vaccinated now, and there's no like crazy reactive epidemic that it came because of the vaccine. Now I do like want to say that there are people that have had reactions, be it because they are uh, allergic to like egg product, and that is part of the vaccine, but or they may have had like some sort of nervous, like because of some genetic feature. And yeah, that happens, and that's why you report it, and they try and do better. I also think that it was an isolated incident, to where COVID was where we needed a vaccine fast. Trump actually, had that project Lightspeed,
Yeah,
and
warp
helped,
speed. Yeah,
yeah, warp speed, and
yeah.
helped push the vaccine out very fast. I think that there is going to be. Oh yeah, I will try and be a little bit more restrictive. I think that there is going to be like corners that are cut, but I
Mhm.
think for the most part, you know, it's very very like sensitive when we just try to like generalize these types of things and just like try and wish wash them off as like I believe that you should have your personal freedom. I think that it is your choice whether or not you get something like a vaccine, but if you are going to be exposed, like say like at a hospital, then yeah, I think that maybe you should have to take either the vaccine or show that you're going to wear like a mask that is like completely like covering your face so you are completely safe from exposing anything to these people with like compromised immune systems. I think that there's balance between the two. I don't believe in mandates, right? I don't think that people should be fired or kicked out of anything. Now, the government, like military, that's a little bit different. They're a little bit more authoritative there. They want to know how much of a beard you have. They want to know how much hair, like how long your hair is. They want you to say like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna like cut my hair to this short. I'm not gonna have a beard and this, that, and the other. I'm going to dress a certain way. I'm not going to wear, my uniform out in public. This, that, and the other. That's fine. But when it comes to like just mandates, yeah, I disagree with them. Like in public, like when it comes to private industry, they can fire you for whatever reason, really. So I don't think that they should be saying like, oh, take this, inject this thing into your body or be fired, because yeah, that sounds kind of like wild, but I do believe that like getting a vaccine and having the option is a good thing, because now, like I said, with the masking, the pendulum has swung the other way to where people that want the vaccine right now have to like jump through hoops just to get it. And these are people that probably have family members that are elderly, or they have an immune system that is compromised, and they can't go and get the vaccine as easy as they were able to in years before.
Do you mind if I say some thoughts?
Sure.
Okay. I agree with you on some things. A lot of it I didn't agree. I don't agree with. Um, firsthand experience, like when I was in the military, um, they would not consider the evidence that I gathered to combat the vaccines. I fought it for 2 years, which is how long I was in,
Hmm.
and I got out honorably, but it was a fight, and I was threatened to be thrown in Leavenworth because of it. And for those
Okay.
who don't know what that is, that's military prison.
Yeah, it's down in Kansas.
Yeah, they do not. They wouldn't let me get a religious exemption, and despite all the evidence, biblical,
I don't think that
secular,
so like religious exemptions of any type are like silly to me. When it comes to like how a government works and how like the Constitution or like anything like that, I don't care. Like we're there's a separation of church and state. So religious exemption is like the silliest thing to me, especially when it comes to
Yep.
like a government like job. If you're
Mhm.
working, you know, for the government, which at the time of COVID, I was working for the government. I was working for the local county jail, and we were told that we had to get the vaccine. People didn't really put up too much of a stink. They just got it. Everybody's fine. In fact, one of the people that didn't get it did catch COVID and passed away. So there's that. But like when it comes to private business, and you know, like if you're working at, I don't know, like some warehouse or something like in Amazon. Yeah, that's maybe not too big of a deal if you can stay like you're 6 feet away, or if you can isolate. That's another thing, is that people weren't able to just like lock down for 2 weeks. That was like the first thing that everybody was asked to do, was just lock down, and people were like, "No, you're not gonna do that to me." Like, here, I want to like practice my own freedoms, and it's like, yeah, but like just understand that if you don't do that, things are going to get worse, and then you know the crackdowns are going to get worse. So like we could have avoided a lot of it if we just kind of followed the like suggestions at the beginning.
I worked as a chaplain during COVID at
Hmm.
a major hospital in Los Angeles, and I would say that the truckloads, the refrigerator truckloads of corpses, probably wish they would have gotten a vaccine earlier.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I've always been against vaccines, and I always will be. I believe that people should have the freedom to choose how they do, how they live. But if there's one thing I've realized, is that when it comes to the medical industry, it's big pharma. And you look in the early 1900s, John D. Rockefeller, he had that
All
whole
right, I gotta
monopoly
let
with
you
the oil.
go because now we're like really getting into like bad misinformation. The like Rockefeller like vaccine, this is like the wildest stuff. I had a friend on Facebook that was going on about that, and it was just like, what are you talking about? You sound so insane to me. Like I'm just like a normal person that can think like somewhat critically. On a smile, I'll let you up. And yeah, I don't like Rockefeller. Like, what are we talking about? The Rothschilds? Like, what?
Well, I
Like,
thought that was definitely going to be next. I
yeah,
mean,
it goes very quickly into anti-Semitism.
have you seen the pyramid of conspiracy? It's a
No,
great graphic. I'll send you a message on Discord with it, or maybe I'll screenshot and
maybe
I'll put it
I
on
could
my.
try and let me try and search it.
Oh yeah, you should. Yeah, yeah.
Smile while we're waiting, or while we're gonna do that. Can you give me your age real quick?
44.
All right, and what brings you up?
Well, I wanted to actually respond to your prompt up there, and just considering the last two guests that I was watching on your stream,
Hmm.
I'm going to find it fascinating if I am not qualified to speak on your stream. So I just want to quickly disclose, if that's okay, just to make sure there's
Sure.
no wasting of time. I am not American. I'm Canadian. Does that
Oh
mean that
no,
my
you're fine.
opinions are not allowed?
No, you can talk. I mean, I think that what is happening with American choices right now, like directly affects Canadians.
Oh, it does. It does. Okay. One last question, because I want to make sure, because it's your stream. Do you prefer me to make summary statements, or do you want me to do this Socratically by asking questions?
I would like for you to let me ask the questions, I guess. And then, just as long as you don't answer a question with a question, then that's fine.
We ask the questions.
No, I mean like statements. Yeah, I want people to like kind of make their point, and then we kind of get down to the why and the what's going on. So before that though, let me try and pull this up. I do have the image, I think. Let me see.
It's like a rainbow upside down triangle sort of thing.
Oh, Jesus. Hold on. All right. And show. So I do have.
Yeah, that's it. In the top right there.
Here,
That
I
one
got
right there.
this
Yep.
one. Yeah. Let me blow it up here if we can read it. The conspiracy chart. I can't read it. Oh no. It's
Maybe
so
open in
small.
a new image, open in a new window. Like,
Let
you
me
can
see
like
if I
right
can
click or control click it.
in a new tab. Yeah, here we go.
There you go.
Let me center and recenter. This is like the best we're gonna probably be able to get.
Well, so the way it works is, I mean, everybody should look it up online.
Yeah.
You can
This is what
find
it
it.
looks like, at least.
This is what it looks like. At the bottom, there are things that are like plausible. Things like um,
At the top, it says detached from reality, and at the bottom, it says grounded in reality.
right. So
And
like the
I'm trying to
Tuskegee
find it.
experiments are at the bottom as a good example of like conspiracies that are grounded in reality. Like those are horrific racist experiments done on the
Right.
Tuskegee, right? And then, as you move closer and closer, like then it's like the Titanic, and like then it's like 5G, and then it's like space lasers. And then when you get to the top, it's like Soros and like Pizzagate and like all the anti-Semitic nonsense and like the protocols of the Elders of Zion and all that good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to get like an actual like good image of that and save it because I love that like
Yeah, I
completely.
feel like I should do like a full-on series on these because I have like a 2-hour presentation that I do on anti-Semitism and the history of anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's a one-to-one, It's like,
Yeah, the like YouTube to alt-right pipeline, like it all starts with like, oh, JFK, and then it just snowballs down to like the Rothschilds and the
the
300
lizard people.
lizard.
You
Yeah,
just
exactly.
gotta look up at the
Yeah. Agree with you there. All right, guest. Sorry about that. On a smile.
No,
So
it's okay.
what's your take?
Okay, so my take is I presume that you're not a Trump supporter. That's the
No.
only question I got to ask you. I presume you're not a Trump supporter.
That isn't to say like, okay, I'm not a Trump supporter, just because like he's done a lot of things that I just like completely do not agree with. But that isn't to say that I'm not able to like isolate a good idea that he might have had, right? So like, say if Trump were to say, I don't think that like sending $1,000 check out is a good idea. I think that that's actually like really dumb. But say Trump uh puts forth like universal health care. I think that that's a good idea. I think that that's actually like kind of a bipartisan idea. Or say Trump does a little bit more for mental health. I think that's also a bipartisan idea that both sides actually support. Then I would praise him for that. So
Okay,
yeah,
so
just to give you an idea.
sorry, my apologies. What I was going to say was that even if you do not support Trump, you are accountable, and it is your responsibility regarding Trump. Trump is as much the Democrats' president, and it is their responsibility as much as it is GOP.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to guess you probably disagree with that, right?
I mean, I actually don't, not as much as you probably think I do. I think that like the Democrats should be putting up as much of a stumbling block as the Republicans did during Obama, or even or before, like the stuff that Mitch McConnell was doing to like stop all progress that the like Democrats were trying to
Ratchet
take.
politics. Ratchet politics is what he called it.
Yeah. Like I think that the Democrats should be doing the same thing. And like they were in a way, like just even recently with like the government shutdown, but then they capitulated. They did it happened again too, where like they're not all standing, like as one, whatever you like want to consider that as, with like how the funding went with ICE, like a lot of the Democrats, there's a lot of them now, the 7 of them that voted for the funding are saying like, oh, I didn't look into it deep enough. I'm really sorry, guys. Like, yeah, I don't think that they're doing enough. I think that they are just as much to blame for not like stopping it where they have the chance to.
Okay, so if that's that, I see your point. I was actually trying to be the gentle version of that thesis because even that gentle version, obviously from Republicans, which just for a global awareness thing,
Hmm.
your Republicans, your conservatives tend to be weapons grade radioactive compared to the conservatives in every other country.
Oh yeah, I
So you
agree.
guys truly have the peak, the best conservatives in that sense because they put everyone else to shame. But even against Democrats and progressives, when I point that there is accountability from them for Trump, so I'll be a little more spicy.
Okay.
I'll say that Trump is the protesters' fault. That the protesters out in Minnesota and such, Trump is their fault and their mess to clean up.
When you like, can you like
I will
bridge the
understand.
gap here?
I will do it right now.
Okay.
You and I both live in a democracy. I think one of the best ways to sum up a democracy is that the democratic governance is the manifestation of the eminent will of the body politic,
Okay.
usually through a mechanism of universal suffrage and free and fair elections. I
Hmm.
don't think someone can really press back against that.
No, I think that that's actually a really good summarization.
Okay. So if you are part of the process, you own the output of the process, and here's why. The as a side note, the cowardice of your government, the prior administration, to not prosecute insurrection on J6 was absolutely spineless because they were worried about fracturing the country. But if you're so worried about fracturing the country, then frankly speaking, you don't have a real country.
It's
So
actually worse. It's actually worse than that. It wasn't just about fracturing the country. It was about creating an ideologue that would, like, if you were to put Trump in prison for 5 months, he might have written a book called My Struggle. You understand
yes.
what I'm saying?
Nice reference. Maybe he have a beer hall putsch too. But
Exactly.
so here's where it comes to now.
Biden referenced that, by the way, in saying that he would not prosecute Trump. He literally referenced beer hall putsch and the mustache guy's prison
Yes.
stay, if you could even call it that.
So
Super
like
mustachio, we can call
oh,
him.
they're trying to like stop a further radicalization.
Right.
Okay. Well, band-aids don't always fix things that need stitches. So
Amen.
I'll say this to you. The general rule of a democracy is I choose not to go 4 boxes. I'm trying to be TikTok friendly with the language.
Yeah.
I don't go 4 boxes if my guy loses on the assumption that if my guy wins, you don't go 4 boxes. That means I own the outcome, even if it's the guy I despise, then that you have to own it too. So an example I could use. Conservatives had the most horrific cope from 2008 to 2016 where they say he's not my president. Absolutely, he is your commander in chief.
Hmm.
If Romney or if McCain had won, they would expect that Democrats may disagree with them. And I remember the hyperbolic dialogue from back then. So that's why a lot of the hyperbolic dialogue today falls on deaf ears with me. It's always the end of the world, depending
Right.
who's the regime in. Okay?
Right.
So it was as much their president as if it was their preference. But simultaneously, Trump is your president. So here's why the next part I'm going to espouse to you.
You know, and I'm like, when people try and like say like, oh, say to me to my face, like Trump is my president. It's like, yeah, Trump's my president. Like, that's not a big deal to me. Like to admit, like I'm not the type of person that's like gonna sit there and deny reality.
No.
No. Like
I've been keeping track, by the way. You are the 4th Americans that haven't immediately shut me up or kicked me off the panel. No, and remember, I'm including Democrats in that too.
Mhm.
You are only the 4th one, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
if there's
appreciate you
accountability,
pointing that out.
then that means you own the person. It's not your guy just when you vote for him, but you live under a dictatorship when it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So, as a Canadian, we have a general sentiment up here.
Okay.
We will no longer trust you folks. One of the best
don't blame
sentiments
you.
that we have that was expressed on X was it is impossible to make a partnership with a company that with a country that decides every 4 years to flip a coin whether Caligula rules them or not. Okay?
Amen to that. I was just reading about Caligula. That's really funny that you like bring that up, but there's a lot of parallels. Lots of parallels, but go on.
Now there's a solution for you guys. And this part gets really, really, really angry responses from Americans
Mhm.
when I say that it's your responsibility, blah, blah, blah. You guys have Article 5
in your constitution. And other countries, which I can go into copious and unnecessary detail, have been able to do massive constitutional reform as a functional countries. Article 5 would allow you folks to actually download the newest software upgrade for what democracies are, because I will tell you this is systemic for you. And the only way you fix it, if I may say, is adopting a Westminster or a hybrid presidential French system. Here's my argument.
Was I
If
talking to you like about a year ago about, and you were talking about the ownership of land?
I don't think I was, sir. I don't think I was on TikTok back then.
Okay.
I've been using TikTok while I've been coding just to be able to stop the mind numbingness. That's why.
Yeah,
So
I feel you.
okay, so here's the argument to you guys. I'm not sure how much your chat knows or you guys know about Canada, but Canada is a democracy just like you. We are a representative democracy, and we have single member districts, and we have first past the post. Yet Canada is able to support 5 major parties. We do have 2 dominant parties, the Liberals and Conservatives,
Right.
but the other ones are there.
Right.
Instead of posing a question, I'll make the statement. The reason we're able to do that is a couple, but the big ones are that plurality, aka minority governments, are possible, which under your constitution is essentially impossible.
Yeah.
And 2, that we have confidence votes. So for those who don't know, Mark Carney, the guy everybody's hailing at Davos, it has a minority government right now.
I mean, that was pretty
Therefore,
badass when he was just like, yeah, like
to be
we'll
honest
figure
with you,
something else out. I don't know. When it comes to
I
Trump,
like him.
Yeah.
No, I like him. I voted for him. But to us, when somebody says something honest that we've already been saying anyway,
oh
it's
yeah,
not
like
a
too little, too
revelation
late.
to put into words. If he had been a little more Rambo, then I would have been like, whoa. But anyway,
Yeah,
so
I get what you mean.
so he has a minority government. If any of his confidence motions fail, we are instantly a liquidated government and we go to election. In the time between when Harry Truman till today, the Americans have had, I believe it's 36 or 38 elections. I'm including midterms as well too.
Since
Canada's
Truman?
Since Truman. You've had 19...
Every 2 years. Every 2 years. So yeah.
So Canada's had 24. So minority governments have been half of those, and they're still relatively stable. And confidence votes are the stick that force the government in power to actually engage in bipartisanship. Bipartisanship is no longer some platonic ideal. It becomes necessary for survival. You don't have that.
What was the what brought about the parliamentary democracy for England and then Canada?
So the Magna Carta was the original startup.
Look what I put in the chat 10 minutes ago.
Oh, you're just a prophet of TikTok, aren't you?
Okay, so but here's so if I can, and I'm not trying to pick up my, I'm just trying to be honest. I'll ask you: are your culture, your country, not almost entirely descended from the English tradition?
No, I mean we're an antithesis. I mean yes, in the sense that we're an antithesis.
Sorry,
like a response to the English tradition.
We are a product of the Enlightenment, and a response to the English tradition.
Now, whether it was a good response or not, that's debatable.
Okay, that's fair. And in 1792, the French had a revolution, overthrow their ancien regime, and they've had 5 republics since. So what my honest pushback would be is that if in 2028 you have President AOC or President Gavin Newsom, that doesn't fix anything.
Right, I agree.
It's systemic.
The issue is. I'm so sorry, Benny.
No, you're fine. Go on.
Well, the issue is that the Constitution was never supposed to be the Torah. It wasn't supposed to be the Bible. It was supposed to be torn up every generation. Right? It's a more perfect union. And so the reality is that we need a Congress with the humility to understand that term limits and that the Constitution itself actually needs to be thrown out and rewritten.
Yeah, I believe Thomas Jefferson has said that revolutions should be expected. And that, we should basically burn it all down and kind of recreate from the ashes after so many times. because they're like an inevitability when it comes to like corruption and all of that. So like I don't think that Thomas Jefferson even expected the like Constitution the way it was then to like be the end all be all.
That's fair. If I can I respond to one person in the chat who just said something?
Sure.
Just so you know, Ashera, Canada doesn't have term limits for our SCOTUS, and we don't have the same problem. So, with due respect, I don't think that's the solution.
You don't
I
think
think
that?
the
Okay.
I think the fundamental solution is that you need multi-party representation, because multi-parties force cooperation even when people don't want it. And I'll tell you why this is personal for me. I know Americans are bombarded with news. Canada is bombarded with your news all the time. So about 90% of your references, whether it's Fetterman, whether it's the Minnesota issues and Tim,
Mm-hmm.
and was it not Tim Kaine? What's his
Tim
name
Waltz.
again?
Tim Walz.
Tim Waltz.
Tim
Or all of
Kaine.
them. Yeah, that's going back. Yeah. So we get your references, okay? Because we have the megaphone pointed at us. I'm
Right.
40 minutes from the border. Your president, your executive, has said that he has mused openly about annexing us and has even made quote unquote jokes about using force against us. But I see you shaking your head, and I appreciate that.
That's the most disgusting thing. Like even with Greenland and like anything like that type of just disregard for autonomy or hegemony is wild to me. But go on.
Here's the thing, though. Like coalition governments are like there are pluses and minuses to every system. Like I'm just thinking, like not to like throw a third rail into the conversation, but like look at how Israel's coalition government works. You've got Netanyahu in as head of state for literally 2 generations. I mean, that's that's a huge problem. And so if it's not term limits in coalition government, it's not term limits in democratic republics. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
I
get.
have a counterpoint to you. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry,
okay, hold on. But before, like, just to see if I can steel man you a little bit there, Smile. I think what he's trying to say, Smile, is trying to say is that, you know, like, if we were to not have just like a binary, you know, like red versus blue, like party system, things
sure,
like
few
term
aisles.
limits, yeah, term limits would probably not be as necessary because there would be more of a, you know, like spread of ideology or like politic because we have the different parties that could do certain things, like, you know, it's not just up to one side to block the other. You know, you have 3 other parties or 4 other parties that could also, you know, jump in and say like, hey, this is messed up, and they can either, you know, gather as the 3 parties, or they could, you know, try and do like a jury kind of deliberation and try and convince another party to join on their side. That's actually very, very helpful. And I like Smile. I agree with, but yeah, with the term limits also, like I the only thing is that like with SCOTUS, like once you're in, I guess you're in for life. It's some sort of ability to kick them out. Like I guess like a to vote them out of the SCOTUS would be what I would want.
That's fair. So if I can respond, I understand the Israeli argument.
Okay.
People often use the epithet Italian parliament. Okay, that's fair. Here's a feedback. Canada had Trudeau for approximately 9 years, 8 years, 9 years, okay, because he had won 3 elections. We've also had one of the famous ones using Trudeau. His father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, was able to collapse the government of the Conservatives within 7 months. So the ability of the electorate to go to the polls with not just a binary, but 4 or 5 different options means that when someone wins, especially in a 5-party system, if someone's able to capture 51% of the vote, that is significantly more indicative of the polity's wishes than someone in a 2-party system that wins 51-49. Because you have such aggregation to these large tents that it becomes a fight with a winner take all. If you win, you're basically untouchable for 4 years. There's a second part as well too. The head of government for us is Carney. He's our leader, but he's not a separate executive, which frankly
He's
speaking,
beholden to party.
beholden also, by the way, there is no prime ministerial immunity like there is an executive immunity, which means he can face criminal charges for things that he does that violates the Constitution. Secondly, as well, we don't have an elected king. This is really critical. The role of England as the Commonwealth, blah, 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 the Governor General, is entirely ceremonial, similar to what other countries that have a presidential that's a figurehead. What I would say is that you elect a king every 4 years. Obama, I know there's people who be pro-Democrat. Obama wasn't exactly a Nobel Prize winner himself, considering that he did more drones than even George, I should face the Hague, W. Bush did.
Wait, but Obama, like, he
But he
was
wore a
going to
tan
bring about
suit.
so much change. Remember, he had
Oh, yes.
change under his name.
For-
we used
for
to
the
joke and say
the
like, "Oh,
people-
can I get my Obama back?" when when I like give him
No,
100.
it's all good because I understand there's a solipsism that happens in the United States, but I can also give some fact checks. Canada had gays in the military in 2004 with no fanfare. Canada has had MAID, which is to help for a graceful exit at end of life. We were able to bring that, and there was contentious argument. Canada has legalized the green, if you know what I mean,
Mhm.
back in 2017 with no issue. This
Right.
was these are in non-majority parliaments that required input from conservatives. Also, we had an attempt at Trump up here. We call them Maple MAGA. There was a guy, his name was Maxime Bernier. He was with the Conservatives, but he started to be a little bit of a heretic. So he started his own People's Party of Canada with incredibly evocative slogans on billboards like "End Immigration Now." Would you guys like to guess how much percentage of the vote he got last time?
Probably, maybe a lot. I don't know. What?
About 7%.
7?
He didn't
Okay.
even get one seat.
Okay.
So instead of silencing the other side, because in a two-party system, it naturally leads to one. In a multi-party system, you want all sides represented because it becomes up to the voters with all information who they go with. If your voters purely want to be MAGA, then that's a deep-grained cultural issue. But if they have the choice between MAGA, because they can't choose Romney instead because your primary system and such, you're locked in to two parties.
Yeah.
I know I've talked a lot and I appreciate it. I'll finish this off this way. When we
finish it
hear
off,
in
yeah.
foreign countries, Democrats are arguing and are talking about he's a tyrant. Yeah, we already know that. Okay?
Right.
George W. was far worse. We already know that he's bad. Your system created it. If your argument is just to win the midterms, that does nothing for us. And we look at Democrats, unironically, the same as Republicans.
Okay.
If they want to advocate for fundamental reform, then the rest of the world will possibly think, you know what? Maybe America is not going to come stomping around like a giant. And when I say this, a lot of Americans get pissed off.
Yeah. So like, what I would love to like, I've had this like secret like dream of like creating some like new party, right? Like some, I guess like it would be called maybe like a progressive party, if you will. I don't know if that's like the name I would give it, but it would be more of a kind of like Bernie Sanders socialist, democratic socialist type of thing, where it was separated from this like neocon, neolib, like central or centrist that we kind of find ourselves like post 80s 90s, because like look what just happened at the last election, where it was basically, or any election really recently, it was either like, you know, either you want this shit sandwich or you want this shit sandwich, and it sucks. It's like, man, at least give us a little bit of variety, because I guess like if you don't vote Harris and you vote like the third party right now, the way that it is, your vote doesn't matter. Your vote basically just went against you.
I think we're underestimating the factionalism of America and the rugged individualism that actually ends up manifesting into sort of flocks. And I use that term intentionally. Bye, Benny. Anyway, so I say this because I really see this last election as an indication of I see this last election as an indication of a new generation of voters. I think that the boomers will not be alive in the upcoming generation.
Okay.
Can you hear me? What's that?
I'm listening. I'm hearing.
I was
you loud
saying
and
tap
clear.
that screen to the
Oh.
audience. If
Oh,
you're
yeah,
watching
tap
on
it.
TikTok, tap the screen, share it out.
Tap-a-roo.
Let's get some more guests here going. Go on.
If you ain't tapping, you're napping. Okay, so all to say that in the next election, in presidential or 2 presidential elections from now, it will be even more ingrained these social divides, and I think like the only way that I see these 5 parties sort of splitting up is a far right fascist party like Nick Fuentes or something like that, a purple party, something of those neoliberal, neoconservative, sort of centrist group, a sort of take on the Green Party, which is like a pseudo-communist, pseudo-socialist party,
Gotcha.
and then a Democratic Socialist Party, as you were sort of describing.
It could even turn into like what was it? Spain, like just before the Spanish Civil War, what they had, like the anarchists, they had the atheists, they had the socialists, they had the like conservatives. There was like tons of different parties that they had, and then some of them would team up with each other. But really, like the Civil War itself was more centralized government versus more of a spread out government.
Well, and to that point, and I've been saying this since 2020, that sorry, 2024. Well, I guess yeah, since really 2024. But I've been saying that any violence committed by the left will be used by the right to move the moderate or the indifferent center further and further to the right, and that's exactly what's been happening. And I think like every act of violence that is perceived or broadcast or undermined as illegal or whatever, like it is like history doesn't repeat itself, but it definitely rhymes. That's Mark Twain.
Yeah.
And I think that look, the people who are most affected when fascism swells and sort of encourages the indifferent center to move further and further right to the safety of the right, or the self-proclaimed protection of the right. The people who suffer are, look, anti-Semitism is the barometer of the health of society, and the fight against anti-Semitism is the fight against all forms of hate, and the fight against supremacy in general. And look, I think that people who speak different languages, immigrants, people of the rainbow community, people who are just generally marginalized, people of color, like this is what is creating the vulnerability. And I think like you can add as many parties as you want. There's an underlying issue, which, and I know that this is going to sound a little cuckoo, but this is the crux of everything that you're doing, Benny, which is we live in Christendom, and this is Christianity, and this is it. Like this is the product.
I mean, please push back for 1 second, respectfully.
Sure. Go on,
okay.
Please. Yeah.
I understand your flock argument, and I understand, honestly, in a way, you're saying it with really nice language, but you're still resorting to the American exceptionalism argument. Okay, fair. I see your point. Here's a counterpoint that was actually battle tested. In the 70s, Canada had an actual scary time. And what happened was we had something called the October Crisis, a domestic terrorist group similar to what the Ireland had with the IRA. We had in Canada. It was called the FLQ.
Was that in Bob Cajun?
Sorry?
Was that in Bob Cajun?
No, they were not tragically hip like that. So, so the FLQ actually was trying to use violent measures to secure independence for Quebec as a distinct society and country.
Okay.
We actually declared martial law. And that was Justin Trudeau's father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, who controversially declared martial law because these FLQ terrorists had unalived 2 government officials after kidnapping them. What was the result? The result came afterwards that we had 2 different referendums in Quebec about peaceful separation and independence. The pro-independence side lost both times. Our SCOTUS created something called, or in collaboration with SCOTUS, our government created something called the Clarity Act, which actually creates a mechanism for any province that wants to leave, that they can fully leave Canada if they so choose, but they have to reach pretty high barriers. Think of it similar to what your amendment process is.
Right.
We were able to take what would we call traitors and secessionists and bring them into government. The Parti Québécois and the Bloc Québécois are constant political factors in Canada, and they haven't overthrown the country in 50 years. Because if you have representative government that brings them all in,
Yeah,
they
calling in
cannot-
as opposed to calling out. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
great.
they-
I mean, it's beautiful. Look, this is my issue though, and I think, like, I think it's actually much more expansive than that, which is what I was trying to get to at the end, which is that like the caliphate is coming up against the Christendom. That's what's happening. We are seeing a brackish mixture of the two global dominating religions, and they are informing the way that people govern themselves and the way in which they see um, the way to move forward. And I think that it is creating an untenable situation that is like thousands of years in the making.
Okay. I don't agree with that, but I understand what you're saying. It's cool. I don't want to take up any more of your time. If I've spoken
Oh,
too
you're
much,
fine.
I apologize. I really do appreciate the chance to at least have a chance to have a voice and not be insulted or banned right away. I
Oh
really
yeah,
do.
that's not usually my style, unless you're like coming up with like the wildest, like just mistruths, like that nobody can like back up at all. Then yeah, I'm gonna kick you. You should have seen my guest yesterday. Oh, Rob, you should have seen my guest yesterday. I had a guy that was quote unquote running for mayor of Tel Aviv. It's on YouTube.
Man, I
And
haven't checked that out.
he said like he was
I
telling me
haven't
how,
met the mayor of Tel Aviv.
he was telling me how he like I was like, what's your platform? And he was like, oh, I just want to make everybody richer in Tel Aviv, and then become prime minister of Israel, and then sooner or later be emperor of the planet. And he was talking about how Mustache Man was like respectable in certain ways, and it was just like, and how he like kind of denied the H cost, at least like the full truth of it, and it was just the wildest. I had to like
Well, so
boot him
clearly he
after.
was not actually Jewish or like involved in anything to do with Tel Aviv.
His
right?
name was in Hebrew, and his like I didn't get his website, but his name was like Asaf, Assaf. I don't know if you can like look up like Asaf like running for mayor of Tel Aviv, but he said like he has a website that's like in complete Hebrew. And so I mean I had to kind of take his word for what it was, but I thought he was trolling by the
Look
end of
into
it.
him.
Yeah, it was wild. But yeah, Smile, I really appreciate you coming on. I do have a guest that's going to come through on YouTube. So I
so
do
much.
appreciate you, and have a good day. I really do appreciate like what you've said. I can't really like disagree with most of that at all. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. All right.
I hope I'm not coming off as too cuckoo with the emphasis on the religious piece of it.
No, I think that like the Christendom like and a little bit less so the caliphate part is very important to the conversation. Stick around though, Rab. I want to see if this guy, are you there, sir? Interstate?
Hello? Yes, hello. Can you hear me?
Can you hear that, Rav?
Can you hear me?
Not yet.
You can't hear him say, "Can you hear me?"
Oh dear.
No, but there's cars also going by. I can't hear him if he's
Sorry.
speaking now.
No, I'm just trying to see if there's a way. I think Rav, can you hear my friend there, Interstate 5?
Yes.
Okay, so you can hear him, but he can't hear you.
Sorry.
Yeah, I had it to work the other way around too one time. I'll have to figure that one out another time. Hey, Rav, I'm gonna drop you just because.
Get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
it gets a little
you.
too confusing for me. Thank you.
Yep.
As always. All right, Interstate. What brings you on?
Hey. Well, I just wanted to join the show. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for doing the show.
Sure.
I love your lives.
Oh, thank you.
And secondly, I wanted to address your question that's on your screen. What is the problem on both sides?
Right, yeah.
Uh,
And that's what I want to get down to, like what about both sides do a lot of people mean? Like I hear that talking point a lot, like where it's like, oh, they're both awful, so I won't vote at all, or I'll just vote
no, I
whatever.
didn't go that far. Like, I definitely would.
But I do hear that quite a bit, and I'm just like, can you at least like go on how it's both sides? But yeah, go on. What was your take?
Well, I think the problem with both sides is the same problem, and that problem is Wall Street.
Okay.
I think the donor class has hijacked the political conversation to serve their own ends at the expense of the needs of Americans. And until we do something to rein in the donor class, neither side is going to be capable of addressing our needs. There was a time that sort of predated my generation. I would say it was probably more prevalent in my parents' generation. I'm 53, so we're pushing. I'm looking at like the 1950s.
You're not that old. Shoot, you're only like a little over 10 years older than me. So.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Well, in in our parents' generation,
right.
There was such a thing as a liberal Republican.
Okay. Yeah. Agreed.
Bob La Follette, for example. I'm thinking of Mayor LaGuardia in New York City. And it was possible to have Democrats that also stood up for the working class. There was a guy, Glenn Taylor, in Idaho. Believe it or not, Idaho used to be a very progressive state back in like the Depression era and shortly thereafter. And I think that came about because that was before huge, gigantic donations were being given by corporations directly to candidates.
Yeah, like Citizens United. Like, when did that get passed?
Yes, exactly. That's precisely where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
I think that because Wall Street has altered the conversation the way that they have, when we find ourselves in times of political turmoil, such as where we are now, you look at ICE, you look at, God, the fire hose of shit that we see coming.
I usually call it the human centipede of shit.
Yeah,
but yeah, go on.
Yeah. It's just an ongoing horror show. Neither side is able to do anything. And I think that they're both paralyzed because of the same problem they have in common, which is that Wall Street sees what Trump's doing as profitable, and they're not going to allow either side to get out of pocket when it comes to telling him to stop, even if their constituents are all telling them to rein him in. Until we do something about that donor class, until we turn off the spigot of money that is coming from Wall Street, this is not going to end.
Hold on just a second. Hey, TikTok audience, are you getting like any kind of like echo or like double audio? I do want to ask that just because I'm noticing my I was trying to change something to see if I could get the TikTok guests and the guests that like Interstate is coming from to be able to talk to each other, but I don't want there to be like, I don't want Interstate's voice to come in as like doubling up. So let me know if that was doubling up there. If not, then I'll keep it. But if so, I don't want to keep that because I know how annoying that can get.
I do want to apologize.
Oh, I'm muted now. Hold on, actually. Default. That might be why.
I can hear you, though.
Now can you hear me? Ashra, can you hear me? Yeah, I think they can hear me now because it looks like they were hearing you, but they weren't hearing me. There's a mess going on my computer right now. That's what's going on. You missed about the last 90 seconds of my, but you could hear him, right? At least because I didn't say. No, sorry, I'm talking to the chat. I didn't say much that was like important. So help me. Let's get back to where we were there, guest. What were we just talking about? Sorry.
Wall Street.
Wall Street. November 1988 is when Citizens United actually like went into place. I think that is a big deal. I think that, yes, that is on both sides too. And I think that you're right, like the donor class and the working class or what have you, like the people that, you know, are just like you or I, that's where the real separation is happening. And have you ever seen that movie, Don't Look Up, or have you heard about that movie where
Forgive me, didn't
it,
catch the name of it.
it's called Don't Look Up. It's got like Leonardo
Oh yes.
DiCaprio, where like
Oh, I
there's like
have.
an asteroid that's about to hit the Earth, and everybody's just trying to like capitalize on it. Like they don't want to talk
Mm,
about the actual asteroid that's about to end civilization as they know it.
mm,
They would rather talk about like fun things, you know, or like whatever that's going to give them clicks or a bigger audience. And I think
mhm.
that that's like a really good allegory for what you're describing.
Yeah, and you know, it's a theme that I think has been consistent uh, throughout the arts ever since the 1980s, which is when I begin to think that the problem began to arise for the first part. You know, I think about my older siblings' generation, the baby boom generation
Hmm.
X, you know, and they seem to have started out okay, like in their 20s in the 1960s and all of that. They seem to have had some very progressive ideas, and I think their hearts were in the right place then.
Agreed.
But by the time the 1980s came around, they seemed to be more obsessed with filthy lucre than anything else. And if they weren't making money off of it, or wasn't a way to make money off of it, they were completely uninterested in talking about it, whatever it was.
Mm. Yeah,
Um,
I would also agree
yeah,
there. Like it was almost
yep,
kind of like, okay, well, we got civil rights done. Like, let's get rich.
or they didn't really get it done all the way,
Right,
though.
right.
Like,
I would say like in their minds, maybe like, you know, like we made all this progress, we're good now. Let's focus
mm,
on our pocketbooks. But
yeah, you know,
at the same time, they weren't really looking too far into the future, it seems.
they weren't, and they really didn't resolve civil rights at all. Like, I, as a gay man, did not really gain the right to marry in the United States until here in Washington State, 2010. I believe the
Was it
rest of
2010? Yeah, it was
you, yeah,
2015 for us. We had to wait to the federal
yeah,
in Nebraska. It's still not codified in the state of Nebraska. Like my partner and I were technically we're like common law married, but we can't exercise that uh you know, like ability to like
yeah,
take up that type of term because it's not codified anywhere.
right. And you think about Lawrence versus Texas. I mean, both you and I could have gotten arrested for having sex with, you
Mhm.
know,
That was
guys that
considered
trained all
sodomy.
over
Yeah.
the country, you know, and that was not that long ago. You
No.
know, that was really, relatively speaking, just yesterday. Um, and so civil rights was definitely not done by the
No, not
boomers,
at all.
but not even close. It wasn't, you know, and of course, you know, the situation with African Americans, I mean, they're still being slaughtered in the streets by overzealous police officers. You look at George Floyd, you know, and then you look at even people just exercising the right to free speech. I mean, look what just happened in Minneapolis. My God, you know, uh, and now I hear that they're making lists of protesters they see and declaring everyone at these protests to be domestic terrorists. Um, and you know, so I'd say that no, civil liberties is never been fully resolved. I think that for the boomers, a lot of it had to do with Vietnam, and once the threat of being drafted was gone,
Mm.
once they said we're shifting to an all-volunteer army, that's when they gave up the project and started looking around for something new to focus on. And I think by the time the 80s arrived, that was cocaine and Wall Street. Um, and ever since then, it's been a downhill slope. You know, I think more and more the news media has constricted the number of views that are possible. Like, say, for example, one of the fellows I mentioned earlier, Glenn H. Taylor, who was a senator from Idaho.
Hmm.
Now, you and I both think of Idaho today as being about as red as you can get, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
Yeah.
very conservative state. But, well, Glenn Taylor was a senator from Idaho, he openly suggested that capitalism was bad for the United States in the 1940s when he was serving that state as senator in the U.S. Senate. I mean,
Right.
try to imagine that now. In Idaho, no, that wouldn't happen.
Never, yeah.
Or you think of Bob La Follette up in Wisconsin, who was advocating for workers' rights there. You would never hear that, and definitely not from a Republican, right? Now with the Democrats, they're a bit like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Sometimes it seems like, you know, they show up after things have gotten heated and have a nice little photo op and say, can't we all just sing Kumbaya and get along with each other? And then they don't do anything. I think of Chuck Schumer's strongly worded letter with 7-pointed questions.
Oh my God. I can't stand
Like
that stuff. Hey, one moment. Let me put a pin in this real quick. I just have one of my mods coming up. I don't know. You'll probably be able to hear her. She won't be able to hear you while she's up. What's up, Tahir?
Give me just 1 second.
Sure. What's going on? I don't know what's happening. I don't like not knowing. No, I'm fine. Hey, what's up? I see you.
Hey, what's up? Nothing. I'm just chilling. Just wanted to come say hi,
Oh,
see what
hey.
you were doing.
And
So,
just chatting. So what's up?
yeah. It's really hard to talk to you and not look at my phone, but you know, I liked the angle that guest was rocking and I wanted to try it out. So.
Oh, it's because he's on a computer. That's I think there's his camera is to the left.
Oh my God, can he hear me?
Yes, he can hear you.
I don't know.
You can't hear him though. But
Oh,
this is why,
my
like,
God, that's so embarrassing. I'm out of here.
girl. No, it's why my eyes are like going off camera because I'm actually looking at the guest right now on my like big screen. I'm on a computer.
My laptop is over here where the camera is.
Yep.
But like I have another monitor here that's a lot larger and it's easier to see because my eyesight is bad, you know. So I'm watching you here, but like the camera's over here. I'm sorry about that,
no,
guys.
you're fine. It's okay. I don't think she understood that. I think she thought you were on a phone and she was just like, what is he doing? Like speak into the phone. Which I get. This is like usually TikTok is also where I'm like streaming right now, other than YouTube. So it could be a little confusing. And that's usually like people only use phones on TikTok.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
But back to what we were discussing there, I think that like I completely agree with you on like all of this. I think that in the what were we talking about? I did put a pin in that. What were you just saying?
We were talking about how the parties used to be much more progressive before there was, and that the baby boomers used to be focused on progressing society until after they got the draft done and away with, and then after that they kind of fell into, for lack of a better way of putting it, greed,
Selfishness. Yeah.
Yeah, and because they are such a large cohort of people, you know, you look at a population pyramid and there's just so many of them. There wasn't really much that the younger generations could do about it, you know. Like
well,
when
and yeah, I think that we were also like fed, you know, kind of the like go to college, get a job, get married, have kids, and then we did a lot of that. We went to college, we ended up in debt, we can't buy houses, you know, like housing went up like 8 times the amount since then, while like wages did not. So like, and that's a direct result of just like bad like banking that happened in the 80s and 90s, you know, that led to the housing crisis. So yeah.
Yes. And it's also like, I think about the housing crash in 2008. You know, to me, I think that's the moment where, you know, the lights came on for me. And I realized that the whole thing was a bit of a scam because, you know, I saw these banks with this TARP thing, you know, we were just shoveling money at them. And it wasn't like it was just George Bush, who I knew was corrupt, you know, advocating this. I mean, Barack Obama was advocating this too while he was running for president. And I was just horrified by what I was seeing. Like literally both parties had sold the country out and said, okay, yeah, because I was told that the way that the market worked was that, you make your bets and, you bet
You pay your
wisely. And if you,
loans. You don't
yeah,
overspend. Yeah, you don't live without like outside of your
live
means. Like
within
be
your means.
responsible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then, well, there's consequences for that. And, you're going to pay the price if you don't. And then I looked at all of these Lehman Brothers and, Merrill Lynch and all of these corporations. They were throwing huge parties, while the rest of us were, questioning whether or not we were going to be able to afford enough to be able to eat. I remember a friend of mine, you know, just on a personal level.
Mm-hmm.
His name's Flynn, and he and his wife had just had a young baby.
Mm-hmm.
They had a condo over in Renton, Washington, that
Mm-hmm.
they had just bought, and they wound up with one of those adjustable rate mortgage loans.
Yep. Oh
They
gosh, and
couldn't
those
keep
are
up
such a
with
scam.
work
But go on.
payments, and they wound up homeless. Now Flynn had been a very responsible person his whole life. He only he went to colleges he could afford, and he didn't overspend. Neither did his wife. They were both very responsible financially, and here they are on the verge of homelessness. And yet at the same time, I see Alan Greenspan going, I don't know what went wrong. I don't understand why these Ayn Randian bullshit principles that he believed in didn't work. He thought, how is it possible that bankers could be greedy? And I was thinking, well, you know,
Hold on.
of
Pause
course.
for a second. Sorry, you're cutting out a little bit. I don't know if it's my connection.
It could be mine too. I apologize.
No, yeah, it just like came out of nowhere. You were coming through just fine. I just want to
Oh,
make sure that everything's good on my end. Yeah, I don't know if there's not much more I can do. I think we just had to like give it a pause there. So I wanted to like kind of jump back real quick though, and talk about like these loans, because it was kind of ridiculous. Like our parents, Gen Xers, millennials, our parents, they had, I mean, like my dad had multiple
golden ticket.
cars, multiple houses. He had like a rental property, still does. They were all paid off by the time that the housing crisis started. Uh, he bought them at a like completely low rates. Like it was like $50,000 for a house back then. And
Yep.
it was easy to pay off because really his salary back then was not much different than what your salary is now. Uh,
Right.
and yeah, things like Ataris and like home stereo systems were pretty expensive. Like it was like $3,000 for a home computer.
But you didn't need
Right,
to
right,
live.
right. And so like these were luxury items. I shoot, there were so many people that had like RVs, swimming pools built into their houses and stuff. It was just like, guys, you are kind of going beyond your means here, like when it comes to like borrowing. And then now like this $50,000 house that you just bought is now worth 300,000 plus, like it's just insane that we didn't think that this sort of spending wasn't going to come back. And it was definitely a Ponzi scheme, like with the mortgage based loans. Like they're based on literal other loans. So now you have a Ponzi scheme going to where the person at the bottom, like your friend, with their variable rate loan, is going to be hit with these huge interest rates because the people in the back aren't able to shell out the money that they owe when the banks crashed in 2008 and the banks were like, hey, we're going to cash in.
Yeah. And, then they get rewarded with it with this huge bailout from the government.
Right.
And, it was just obscene to me. Like, I couldn't think of anything more offensive to my eyes, seeing in
yeah.
the newspaper that there were these lavish parties going on in LA with these bankers while my friend Flynn is looking at homelessness and he never did anything wrong.
Yeah, it's I don't know if enough people saw just like how bad it really was.
It was bad.
when that was all going on, like I was in college. I was like in my sophomore or junior year of college at the time, and I was, studying, and things sounded pretty dire. My parents, being boomers, they weren't really affected by it. I was in South Dakota at the time, and South Dakota kind of was a little bit recession proof back then. But on a larger scale, though, it was very bad, where people were, like contemplating, offing themselves because they didn't know what they were going to be able to do. They didn't know how they were going to pull out of the rut that they got put in, because all of their, income sources were being axed, and all of their debts were being called upon. And it's just wild because uh when you take out a loan, and it's funny because you hear the right talking point of, like, with student loans, like, oh, if you take out a loan, you better be expected to pay it. And it's like, okay, well, the same should have been applied back decades ago, when these people were taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars of loans on $15 an hour income. uh I don't know how they were getting approved for these loans, but back then it was like the Wild West. It was just like, oh, you want money? Here's money.
And please, while we're on the topic of educational loans, let's not forget the rest of the racket, because it is a racket, Textbooks, for example, you know,
Oh
the
gosh,
public
yeah, textbooks.
textbooks will wind up making contractual arrangements with teachers where they have to require the class to have the latest edition of that textbook, even if they only changed one graph in it or one picture in it from last year's edition, to ensure that they're able to extract the maximum profit from people. And with the rising cost of tuition, I hear the boomers say that, oh, you know, you should make sure that you be responsible with the school that you go to. But back then, the tuition that they had to pay was
Right.
something they could pay with a part-time job,
Right. You could
and you
just
can't
work as
do
a
that.
lifeguard in the summer and pay for
Right?
your whole year's worth of college.
And that would be impossible these days. I mean, there
No.
were some places like the University of California system that was entirely for free if you were a state resident, or Cooper Union in New York City, where that was free if you were a New York City resident. And that doesn't exist anymore. And then you think about the cost of living, because you have to pay the rent while you're at school.
Right.
And even that is, overinflated. So, a
Right.
lot of the things that they have in their mind from their experience in the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, they don't work now. And they haven't worked for a very long time, but they don't realize that. So they sit there and they play this moral hazard game where they say, okay, well, this is all your own fault. And they don't see that the system itself is set up to just make it impossible for anyone to get ahead. Another thing, too, let's imagine that we have two children, right?
Mm-hmm.
One child is growing up in a neighborhood with a very low tax base. That is,
Mm-hmm.
the people in that zip code just don't make enough money to be able to fund the schools adequately through taxation,
Right.
which is how much schooling is paid for, is through taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have another very wealthy area where even if a person has enough money to go to a private school, the incomes are high enough that the public schools are actually quite good,
Right.
you know. And we put these two kids on a track from birth, and we say, okay, you're going to go to a school that has out of date sports and band equipment, if there is any sports or band equipment at all, a hole in the roof, maybe like in the city of Baltimore, for example, where in the wintertime it's so cold the kids have to wear parkas in the classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the teachers are going to be paid very low. And as you know, like if you pay very little, you're going to get what you pay for, and you're not going to get very skilled teachers at these low income schools. I mean, a few people through Teach for America will, but very few will.
Mm-hmm.
And you wind up in a situation where the kid who grows up in the town with the poor tax base is screwed from the start. They have to take the same test, the same SAT, in order to get into college. But one has been prepared excellently their whole life, and the other has been prepared very poorly their whole life. And you can already tell from that who's going to get the higher score in the SAT. You know, and they always like to point at the one or two that managed to break out of that.
Right, the one-offs.
I mean, I count myself as one of those folks. I grew up in a very poor area and I wound up going to Johns Hopkins. But
Good for
that's
you.
rare. I'm an extremely rare exception. You know,
Right.
majority of the people from my hometown never went to college at all, you know. And, you know, the system is just set up to keep people in poverty, to make people miserable from birth. Until we change that system itself, that's why I mentioned having to address the matter of Wall Street donations to politicians. Because until we do that, I mean, you look at all of these Silicon Valley types with their data centers and AI.
Oh, the AI bubble. Sorry,
Yeah,
I just see another recession coming because of it, because it's yet another Ponzi scheme. It's all on vibes. It's all
yeah.
there's no
What is
deliverables. All we're seeing is these huge expenses going to build these data centers, and then the like massive just impact that they're having on the communities around them, but there's nothing that they're delivering, right? Like what? Like
No,
silly photos and videos?
silly photos and videos, or maybe it might write a nice poem, but do you
Right.
really need to spend several $1 trillion on that? Like, is
Right.
that worth the
It
investment?
it might be like pushing the recession down the line a little bit. It might be kicking the can, but sooner or later, people are gonna want to like see deliverables on their investments. Like OpenAI, I think is, or whatever Sam Altman runs.
That's
It's like got zero profit right now. There's like been zero profit since the beginning, since he like introduced this, yet people like his stocks are just like through the roof. The same goes for like Tesla. They haven't delivered anything other than the Cybertruck that I can think of.
ugly car too. Just
Yeah.
ugly.
Yeah, it's horrible. But like there's promises of, like autonomous taxis. There's promises of AI people that are going to be able to just sleep while your car drives you places, things like that. It hasn't happened yet. Or the autonomous taxis have happened and it's a different company. Yet Tesla's stock is like through the roof because it's all vibes. People are doubling, tripling their money because they got in on Tesla early, or OpenAI or whatever early, and now they have inflated so far that they don't want to pull out. They want to keep making money, but the second that everybody realizes, oh shit, these guys aren't gonna deliver what they're promising, they're all gonna pull out, and it's gonna be another like 2008 where the person at the bottom, the last person that purchased the stock at the highest price, is going to end up with zip, and they're going to realize, oh crap, I just got like scammed. Pretty much.
And we've seen this play out over and
Over
again.
and
Every
over.
point was being dangled in front of everybody's eyes, and as seen as like, okay, if you invest in this, you're going to be very rich. And I imagine a few people who did very early on have done quite well with that.
Oh yeah.
But who got into it later realized if you have a currency that isn't backed up by anything and isn't regulated by anybody, where do you go when the whole thing turns out to have gone bust? Like,
right.
Who's going,
and the
no
people that
pension.
got rich usually that's when you get out, you take your money and run. And then you don't, I mean, like this was exemplified with what's his name? Not Kash Patel, but the other, he's a right winger. He ran for president. He
Vivek
had like a
Ramaswamy.
yes, Vivek. Yeah, he ran on hopes and dreams with a pharmaceutical company. It was a failing pharmaceutical company. He like pumped a bunch of money into marketing and venture capital, which venture capital is a very, very like just don't even get me started. But he got a bunch of investments and he left before it all came crashing down. And I believe that that's where it's gonna turn to again, like it did in 2008, where a huge transfer of wealth is gonna go up. from the hopes and dreams of, you know, a lot of these like like finance bros and crypto bros and stuff like that, where they're putting all their money out, and the people that are actually making the money at the top they'll be out of the whole like game by the time the avalanche happens.
And you know, the people who are going to keep playing the music to this game of musical chairs that we're all in with AI and with Silicon Valley and with everything else that's inflating this bubble, they're both Democratic musicians and Republican musicians that are playing the tune. And once they stop playing, who's going to be left with the chair? And a lot of us won't be.
You know what? Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off like this, but we're hitting at about like where I want to kind of cut off for a show. And I think you answered my prompt. Like, I honestly think that you were able to like successful, and not to say that the people before didn't quite answer it, but I think that you were able to answer it in a way that satisfies the both sides argument. I think that you truly, like, if you were to make that comment of, you know, both sides are to blame, or not necessarily both sides, or like we're looking at the cup like completely differently, you know, it's more top down than it is left right. And I think that that's really where like I'm trying to get also with this conversation. Like, if you haven't noticed, chat and everybody else watching, like me and guests pretty much agree on all of this. And I think that that was a really good exchange of information that we just had. So I like, thank you so much for that. I do have to let you go though. Is there any last things you wanted to say?
Oh, no, just thank you so much for letting me come onto your show, and I'm grateful to have been a guest.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate like a good faith person that comes up, has good information, and really is able to communicate that. So you're highly appreciated. If you found us on YouTube, you know, click a little follow or whatever. I'll try and be going live. I don't quite have a schedule out yet because I have a lot of stuff going on, but I have been going live for the last 3 days, from like 3 p.m. to about 6 p.m. So yeah, if you ever want to come back on, just hop on. I'm also on TikTok, guys, as Benny Boy, Betty _boy _period_. But thank you, sir. I didn't catch your first name. Can I get you your first name?
I'm Dave.
Nice to meet you, Dave. I really appreciate you, Dave, and have a good day. All right. Don't let the society and the boomers keep you down.
Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks.
Bye. All right, everyone. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We were kind of losing the viewership, but I'm sure that there was probably a person named Justin that went live recently or something like that, you know. But I'm gonna keep trying. I am gonna stop it because we just hit the 2-hour mark on the live, unless we can get some like last minute wild guest. I do want to wrap it up. I want to give a little pitch for the Deconstruction Junction community. What we do is mainly we focus on religion and religious indoctrination, and not really necessarily giving up religion, but looking more at it with a critical eye. And the way that we do that is through a Discord that has a team of streamers, kind of like what I'm doing right now, but more religiously or debate like style. And our Discord is discord.gg/deconjct. It's a great community. We've done so much. We have like over 6,000 members in there. We, in response to what has been going on with the economy and everything, have been trying out ways to help each other, be it by mutual aid, or we do have programs that we are running within that community where we are giving out gift cards to people in need, because we do have the backing of a nonprofit now, through our friend Justin, aka Deconstruction Zone, a very popular streamer here on TikTok and on YouTube. So yeah, make sure to check out the Discord. I'll be in there more. I haven't been around for a little bit of time, but I do want to keep the conversation going on, stuff like this. It might get a little political for a while. I might jump into religion and Christianity and the silliness with all that, because I think it's all connected. And I do like to dunk on some Christians sometimes. So yeah, other than that, I hope you all have a beautiful day. I don't know who else is on right now, but I'm sure you'll know who to go and see, and if you do, just tell them Benny sent you. So yeah. All right. Have a good night, guys.